Yo, what's up with the world and this burning desire to tell people what they can and what they can't do? Who are anybody? Who are these people that feel inclined to tell us that the Philadelphia Eagles can't beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? It's a lot of this is a real good story in which a lot of things connect when you're talking about it. Who got stuff to prove? I think in a way Jonathan Gannon has a lot to prove in this matchup. Jonathan Gannon has to prove that, he could get pressure on an elite passing quarterback. Jonathan Gannon is giving up 80 or better completion percentage to a lot of quarterbacks this season. Tom Brady being one of them. Miles Sanders got some stuff to prove. Miles Sanders has to prove that, he can tote the rock in the playoffs. He can be the lead dog for the Philadelphia Eagles in the running back room that has helped bolster the attack and the turnaround of this season. He got a lot to prove. Now, when you talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and you talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what are some of the things that, just pop out on the radar about this matchup to you? Is one of them the fact that Jalen Hurts is the youngest quarterback playing in this year's playoffs? And he's going up against the GOAT, probably the oldest quarterback in this year's playoffs. These are not the same teams that we seen face off in week 6. A lot has changed. In week 6, Antonio Brown was having his way. In week 6, Leonard Fournette was having his way on the air and on the ground. Yet and still, we only lost that game by 6 points. We were at the point in this game to where we got to stop, by Jannard Avery. He was happy about the stop. And the refs threw the flag. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Taunting. On a game-winning drive, they gave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady a first down, 15 yards. And we never got the ball back. Now, I'm not making an excuse, but these are things that I remember from that first matchup. There's no room for no excuses, because now when you fast forward, the Philadelphia Eagles are, one of the best teams in the NFL on third down. Actually, the second best. But you know who the first best is? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is going to be a good game. This is not going to be a blowout. And the Philadelphia Eagles have more than a puncher's chance at winning this game, especially when you think about the key losses that both teams took this season. The Philadelphia Eagles lost to the New York Giants and didn't lose a game for the rest of the season except the finale where we sat our starters. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were shut out by the Saints. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that this is the keys to victory for beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I bet you ain't know Manscaped had smell goods, cologne, fragrances. Use code Brunson, save 20% off, man. Come on, they got everything for you. Yes, sir. Yeah. Lil Brunson back at you with the back at you, and I am the best reporting on the Eagles. Listen, this is a wild card weekend, edition of Keys to Victory. You know what I'm saying? We in the playoffs right now. We actually playing the team that we really familiar with. So that's kind of a little edge on us, because I'll tell you this about these guys, man. Tampa Bay got guys that were really deadly against us the first meeting that aren't going to be there. We know the debacle that's going on with Antonio Brown. Mike Evans is a little banged up. You know what I'm saying? Gronk is probably like the only healthy weapon that he has. Leonard Fournette really stuck it to us as well too, Paul. So it's a lot of people who either healthy or banged up or just not going to be available. So we're going to definitely, you want to expect a different look from these guys, man. Now, listen, let's jump right into the meat and potatoes, man. The first key to victory is definitely you want to run the ball. We all know this. You have to run the ball. The Philadelphia Eagles have turned into, a running juggernaut in the National Football League. They will go against the third best run defense in the National Football League. And, this is a real opportunity to prove how big and nasty we are up front, as opposed to, a juggernaut in the playoffs. Now, we've been running the ball on whoever we wanted to. Now we get to go out there and say it. Now, that's one part of it. We get to go out there and do it against a formidable opponent that we'll get undoubtedly respect for if we're able to succeed against them. Now, we talk about running the ball, but We got to be more specific when we talk about running the ball. This is the playoffs. We want to run the ball from every angle on these guys. We don't want to give these guys the same look. We fell into a habit around the first part of the season of running, a lot of our run plays out of a shotgun with one, offset, halfback in the backfield next to the quarterback. We got into a habit of that, and it kind of looked familiar to us all because it either turns into a run or Jalen keeping it and running the other way or just a straight play action RPO. It's just a lot that goes on out of that formation. Well, not enough that goes on out of that formation that could, potentially, scare somebody. So you got to run from every angle. You got to line up in some power sets. You got to also use that, shotgun run. You got to run it from every angle because you're going to have to try to figure out what works best. Luckily, we got a diversified backfield of running backs who do a bunch of different things. You know what I mean? So we'll be able to challenge these guys. So I like it. And running with Jalen Hurts has to be an issue as well because we know that Jalen Hurts has the ability to make the edge guy, think twice about what's happening. So that's another angle of running. That's another dimension of running for us. Having a quarterback being able to do it, it's a very important key to run the ball and run with angles. The second one would be to take shots. If you could remember from that first game, we was taking shots out there against, Tampa Bay. We forced a pass interference with Jalen Reagor not once but twice. We took other various shots up the field. You know what I mean? We took some shots against Tampa Bay, and that's how you got to play at times, especially when we came down and start mounting our comeback. Jalen Hurts was doing, what he had to do to get the ball up and down the field, and that's what I like to see out of a young quarterback, continuously fighting. I have no doubt in my mind that if the Philadelphia Eagles would have been able to get that ball back without that bogus call for, taunting, I think we would have been in business in that game, but that's another talk for another day. You got to take your shots, man. You got to take your shots because you got to leave it all out there on the field. You know what I mean? You got to go through your progressions. You got to make the best throw to the best player. You really got to be on point. And that's what I mean by take your shots, man. Because if the deep shot there, take it. Don't hesitate, man. If the deep shot is there, take it. And this is an important one for me, man, on the offensive side of the ball, man. Take the three. We get into this habit of being on 4th and inches already at a 30-yard field goal, a very makeable field goal for our, kicker and Jake Elliott, who set a franchise record for field goal percentage. You know what I mean? The best Eagles kicker, lo and behold, is Jake Elliott. And he's a Super Bowl winning kicker as well with the franchise. So very fitting that it be him. It's the best season for Eagles kicker in franchise history. Take the three. If this opening drive stalls out on a 4th and 2, and we're on the 18-yard line, take the three. You know what I mean? Take the three. Go up 3-zip. If you can, take it. And there's nothing wrong with, having a 7-3 game. If they score on the first drive and our second drive result in 3, there's nothing wrong with that. Taking a 3 early and often in the game gives the mind state of the team like, listen, that was a completed task. That drive ended in points. It might have been 3, but it wasn't nothing. You know what I mean? We let Washington get a 10-point lead on us because we didn't take the 3. And you know what I mean? We turned the ball over on downs trying to run it up the middle. So that's very, very important for me, man. Now we're going to get into some defensive keys of the game. We know everything that we did wrong, you know what I mean, in the first meeting defensively against the Buccaneers. Now, when I talk about defensively, I looked at the Buccaneers' worst loss of the season and what happened to them to, have that outcome. And I looked at, how we played them defensively in our matchup. The Buccaneers' worst loss of the season by far definitely came at the hands of the Saints. I mean, for God's sakes, they were shut out. I don't know why people think we can't beat a team that was just shut out. But the worst loss of the season came from the Saints in this one. So, you know what I mean? The Saints did some things, you know what I'm saying, that I feel like the Philadelphia Eagles need to be looking at because they couldn't even score. So that's a good defensive game plan or a good base that you want to base it around. Now, the first thing we need to be doing is have Mike Evans followed by Darius Slay. Mike Evans is hobbled. He's clearly the number one option, as a vertical threat right now without Antonio Brown and Godwin on the field. Mike Evans is probably the only guy that poses a threat of an immediate big play. Now, Gronk can get you a big play, but Mike Evans up that sideline, that vertical speed, that's what I'm talking about. They might be missing that this game. I would definitely have, Slay Trail Mike Evans, and I would have Maddox trail Rob Gronkowski. Now, I would do that with Maddox because I remember Maddox, basically shutting down Kyle Pitts week 1. Kyle Pitts is a big guy. He's a tight end. Maddox is a slot corner. But sometimes you need that speed to be able to stay right in the hip of somebody. That way you can make a play on the ball. It's not good to match big on big against guys like Gronk, because if it's a big guy, most likely it's a safety who probably should be a linebacker, or it's just flat out a linebacker. And Gronk has made a career off of cooking those guys. So put somebody faster on Gronk. You might be surprised by the outcome. So that'll be a key for me, man. The third key for me is basically to, you want to eliminate the dump down. You know what I mean? I don't know how you're going to do that with the type of zone that we play. But the first meeting, Tom Brady, all season actually, Tom Brady has been dinking and dunking. I mean, Leonard Fournette definitely has 80 targets. Leonard Fournette ain't running no 20-yard routes. He has 80 targets. Tom Brady uses those to his advantage. You know what I mean? That's how Tom Brady was able to keep that completion percentage where it is and get that completion record. And he also threw for 5,300 passing yards in the season. Tom Brady uses the entire field. So you got options this game, being as though they're a little light at the wide receiver position. You might have to play everything tight. He don't have no vertical threats like that. He's going to be looking to dink and dunk and take the short completion. We got to be aggressive. If we eliminate that, then we force him to take shots down the field with guys who ain't ready for this type of moment. You're missing Godwin and you're missing AB. Do I got to keep reminding it? You know what I'm saying? Make sure we keep the ball in front of us. That's all we got to do. That's what I mean by, eliminate the flat position. My last key for the defensive side of the ball. The defense definitely has to win. The defensive line has to win. When I look at the Saints and how the Saints took over that game, it was one guy that was putting in the bulk of that work. Cam Jordan had 2 sacks and a forced fumble. Cam Jordan wrecked that game up front. Fletcher Cox, somebody got to come alive, because it's now or never. We can't keep labeling you a star. You know what I mean? There's no disrespect to Fletch, but we know how we think of Fletch. We can't keep labeling you a star and you not do what things like Cam Jordan is doing. You know what I mean? We need you to be nasty and very, very disruptive. We have the guys up front to do that. And now I suggest this as well. This could be another major key. Thinking about having, a bit of a rotation, because Milton Williams, the way he played last week, I was impressed. I was really impressed with how Milton Williams played. I think if you constantly have a fresh guy like a Fletch, then you do Hargrave. You know what I mean? If you're running 2 D tackles, you know what I mean? Just mix them up. You got 3 really good ones. You can mix them up. One player could be Fletch and Milton, then it could be Fletch and Hargrave. One player could be Milton and Fletch. I just said that. One player could be, you know what I mean. Mix it up, man. Get different, get different groups of guys out there, man. And you know the outcome that you possibly could be having, man. So, yeah, man. I feel like, we have to, we have to eliminate the silly play. We don't want any false starts. We don't want to give this offense any fuel. It's so much that can go into, what has to be done to beat a team of this caliber. These are just the keys to victory. I think that I'm going to go over them again. I think that if we, run the ball with new angles, give them different looks within the running game. If we take shots when they're there, you never know what could happen. We force a few PIs. You know what I mean? Take the 3 when you take the 3. Don't overthink situations like that. Have Slay follow Evans. Have Maddox follow Gronk. Eliminate keep the ball in front of you. Eliminate the passes to the flats, because Tom Brady likes to use that when there's nothing downfield. And also, man, the defensive line has to put pressure on Tom Brady, man. So if I missed anything, let me know what you guys think in the comments. The week is moving pretty fast. Upcoming this week, I should be on Philly 500 channel. I want to say Friday. Goat Talk is popping off on my channel. Maybe Wednesday or Thursday. Tomorrow's Wednesday, but we're going to talk about it, man.